So I'm up bright and early this morning before the rest of the family, doing some reading in my book. I also journal in the morning, every night before bed. I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, what I achieved that day, and then first thing in the morning, I review it. Excited about today. I have a great podcast interview at 9 a.m. And then after that, my wife and I are going on a lunch date today. So a little bit of work and a lot of fun.
So before I hop on a 9 a.m. podcast taping, which we live stream in my Freedom Club community Facebook group, I'm working on fine-tuning a little presentation I have for a webinar tomorrow, my Total Freedom Lifestyle Transformation webinar, which I have been promoting for about, the last month or so. We have about 50 people signed up. I expect to get more throughout the day. Real excited about it. It's about living the freedom lifestyle, which is a mindset. It's an intentional way of living. I get into some actionable steps on how to do that. I have an exclusive offer for anyone who's joined the webinar. So just fine-tuning this before I hop on my podcast interview. We are here today on the Freedom Club podcast. I am your host, Curt Mercadante. Thanks for those of you listening today on the podcast. Of course, we also live stream these interviews in the Freedom Club community. If you are not yet a member of the Freedom Club community, what's your problem? What are you waiting for? Head to Facebook, search for the Freedom Club community. You'll see my ugly mug next to the listing. Join. You can participate in live streams just like this. And today we have an incredible guest, Alain Kapatashungu. He is the founder of Front Door, which we're going to talk about a little more. He has an amazing story going all the way back to his childhood, in addition to his story of entrepreneurship. You can see I just did a tremendous podcast interview. It was about an hour long. We live stream those in my private Facebook group, the Freedom Club community. And it'll actually air tomorrow on my podcast, the Freedom Club podcast. But the interview was with Alain Kapatashungu. He's CEO of a real estate company app called Front Door, entrepreneur, and he's a survivor of the Rwanda genocide, and he shared an incredible story. And it's interviews that I do on the Freedom Club podcast that really inspire me and energize me. And I hope that my audience, my listeners, the people watching in the Facebook group are able to learn and draw some inspiration as well in their lives. I mean, this is a guy who at a young age had to flee and fight for his life. He talked about what kept him moving forward was not only this dream of being flown out of Rwanda on an airplane to freedom and safety, but just that daily thought that we're not going to die today. We have to keep moving forward. Talk about living an outcomes-focused life. So that podcast is over. I'm just tidying up some things, saving it, and going to head out and get ready because it's time for lunch date with my beautiful wife. So it is a little after 11 on Tuesday here. My beautiful wife, Julie, and I are out for a lunch date today. Part of the freedom lifestyle is the fact that whether or not it's a quote-unquote work day or a weekday, if you want to go for a lunch date in the middle of the day, fuck it. You can absolutely do it. So as you saw earlier today, I did a podcast taping, did a little work on my webinar, but now the rest of the day is fun because we value our relationships. That's number one. And our first stop here is the Aiken Rhett House. I'll have some video of it here shortly, but it's an 1820s house, pre-Civil War. Charleston, South Carolina here is home to a lot of these homes. So that's our first stop. So that was a very cool tour, and now we're off to lunch at Leon's Oyster Shop. Gonna have some good seafood, some oysters, and maybe some champagne.
So my wife and I had a great time, great meal, awesome tour of the Aiken Red House. We actually stopped for some ice cream on the way home. And now I'm back home doing a little work on my webinar for about the next 45 minutes or so. And then I'm going to take my son, Dominic, to karate practice. So as you can see, it's a Tuesday. It's a work day. Did about 2-3 hours of work today. Rest of the time spent with my wife on a date and taking my son to karate. So that's a Tuesday. That's kind of a normal Tuesday for me.